Hi, the next 4 slides are about ideas assessment, and it covers all the questions and considerations you need to make before you decide to go ahead with your idea. And it's not even about going ahead with your idea, you probably need to spend some time on developing a platform of ideas rather than just one idea. But anyway, there's a guy called Kai Kawasaki, and he has written a lot of stuff on starting your business. And one of the things he talks about is pitching, and your different elements of pitching. And the first one is a 30-second sort of pitch on the problem you're solving and why the problem you're solving, the solution you're offering, and why is that compelling, or what's the magic. And that really is probably one of the first questions you need to ask, whether your idea is compelling enough. Now, then it's compelling, so it's interesting, makes people sit up. Then just because it's compelling doesn't necessarily mean there's a market for it. So the next step then, is the market viable? Can you address the market? If you're based here and the addressable market is in a neighborhood in Hong Kong, then, and you can almost take addressable literally, then it's probably not addressable. So you're talking about routes to market. If you want to take a perspective that's longer than just 1 or 2 years, you need to find something that is sustainable and sustainable for a longer period of time. So is there competitive sustainability? And you've sort of heard this before if you've done module on entrepreneurship and the module on strategy. Is there enough passion and commitment? I mean, do you really, really, really love what you're doing? Then the other slide then talks about sort of developing this portfolio of ideas. So one of the techniques I use when I do workshops on this is what we call attribute listing, which is putting or splitting your business idea in the smallest parts possible and then come up with alternatives. This works really well for the business idea, but I actually think it even works better for your business process, which is split up your business process in the smallest part possible and then come up with alternatives, which are obviously outsourcing alternatives. I think you'd be amazed how much money you can save and how much more compelling your business model can become and how much more profitable. What type of technology can you use? Another technique that's very powerful is for a month. So we suspend all judgment, and for a month we write down all the questions that start with who, what, where, when, why, and how, and you just write them down. We're not judging, so for a month you just write down all the questions you have, and then you come back and you'll be amazed of the things you find. Brainstorming is powerful, and there's loads of other techniques. The point we're trying to make here is, rather than working with one idea, which is a column that works this way and it's very, very narrow, try to develop a broad base of business ideas before you fix yourself on one particular idea. Then you need to look at future trends, you need to look at innovation cycles, you need to again look at technology. There's a book called Future Files, which is things like, what are the things that are going to be extinct in the next 10, 15, 20 years? For example, this book thinks that Belgium is going to be absolute in the next 15, 20 years. It actually thinks that Google is going to be absolute in 10, 15 years. So hopefully, if you're on that timeline, it's probably not a good idea. Look at Moore's Law, and Moore's Law, everything is going to get twice as fast and twice as cheap, and that is starting to apply across all kinds of technologies, just not only computers, and what the impact that's going to have. And there's no escaping the internet, so you need to look whether you can apply the internet to your business model. So all those things are going to give you sort of an assessment of whether your idea is viable or doable or not. And then it's literally go or no go. In module 1 we talked about entrepreneurship as a personal choice and whether it is something for you, and it's perfectly reasonable to say no. Same applies here. If the idea is not good enough, it is perfectly acceptable to say no, or do more market research, more brainstorming, and come up with alternative ideas. I think my message would be is don't fix too much on just one idea and fix on it now. Keep an open mind and take some time to consider what type of idea you want to pursue.